Mark Sisson come up. Mark, come on up.
There you go. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Mark Sisson. I'm in IMO with Washington National. Washington National being a supplemental insurance company, much like Aflac. And what we do is we offer all sorts of plans, much like the Aflac platform that we've all grown to either love or hate or bump into in the market otherwise. So that includes hospital plans, accident plans, critical illness plans, and those types of products. What I'm going to do is share with you a philosophy that a lot of group agents are really starting to pick up with in the supplemental area. So what I'm going to do is share a lot of those ideas with you, and in the second half, if you want to learn more about really more of the details of these products, I'll want to make sure that our state manager here, David Steffen, will be able to go through each of those products and give you a lot more bells and whistles. So over the years, I've been in the insurance business for about 14 years now, and it's amazing what's transpired really in the group market. Over the years, there's been a lot of agents and agencies that's gone about their ways, dealing with the transitions in the group health market, doing your renewals, doing what you do. And from time to time, you bump into these supplemental companies like Aflac, Colonial. There's just a slew of them. And most agents have just pretty much ignored it. Like, okay, well, those guys go in and some of them browbeat your clients, others come in and really do a good professional job offering them solutions for voluntary benefits. Over the last number of years, especially with ACA that's come along, we're looking at some really dynamic changes coming on in the marketplace that's forcing agents to take a different look at this supplemental insurance. So what I want to do is take a snapshot of where we are today, what are some of the hurdles we're running into, and how it could possibly say, you know what, that supplemental business, maybe that might make a good fit for me. We're seeing right now a very big trend with agents and agencies saying, you know what, we can't make the two marriage together, pull together in one marriage in a group and accomplish a lot of different goals. So what I'd like to do is just move forward. We're talking about some of the healthcare problems we're dealing with in the marketplace today. And what I want to do is pull those problems into the group market with the supplemental products and see how the two can really complement each other is really a good viable plan for your clients. So number one, I don't know who watched the debates last night, but the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare as many people talk about, there's no question about it. There's so many complications with the government getting into healthcare. We already know what's obvious. Healthcare costs have been out of control, and they will continue to be out of control just because of the same forces that we've been dealing with over the last 10 to 20 years. It's just there. So ACA is just compounding the problem. So we know we still have to deal with out of control costs, and we need new solutions. The addition of ACA in 2014 in particular is going to necessarily drive up deductibles and co-insurances. It has to. Today, I don't know how many of you have gone back 10, 15 years in the Blue Cross days where, when I used to sell Blue Cross, PPO1, that was the standard plan, and when I looked at the PPO4, $500 deductible plan, I sat there and thought, are you serious? Someone's really going to buy a $500 deductible 80-20 plan? This just makes no sense. Well, over time, what's happened is premiums have gone up. Insurance companies have had to lower premiums by increasing exposure to the client, deductibles and co-insurances. It's just simple as that. And the big buzz came along about 10 years ago with HRAs. And HRAs were just such a lovely tool for any agent that would take the client and look at high deductible plans and say, you know what, I can insure that deductible and that co-insurance. So the typical agent would go out, pull out the Blue Cross, maybe against PPO1, PPO2, or a low deductible plan, maybe against a PPO12, $1,000 deductible plan. Great fit for an HRA. A lot of groups, they'll range anywhere from 35% to 50% utilization. The savings on the change in premium versus the utilization you're going to pay. it all made really great sense. Now we're in a bit of a dilemma. These deductibles and co-insurances have gone up so high, so aggressively, that these HRAs are really not as effective as they used to be. And it's even more compounded with the fact that carriers have come out with HRA rates which are higher than non-HRA rates. So now we've got groups that are saying, I want an HRA, but my rates just went up because I'm continuing on with an HRA, and my deductible and co-insurances, let's say in a 25-person group, which used to be on a standard HRA, maybe $50,000 in exposure, now I'm dealing with $250,000 exposure on my HRA. I don't know if I have an appetite for that. So what I want to do is take a step back and look at how we can make the HRA issue disappear and then address the ACA issue, which is coming around the corner. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm quite well connected with great organizations such as GRA. Jerry Panic, he's a great resource regarding anything to do with ACA. I, like many other agents, get very involved with associations. You guys have been in the group business, I'm sure you guys have heard of MBPA. But MBPA has a gal named Bonnie who works in government relations that keeps agents abreast of what's going on with ACA. And she's a great resource, and she's willing to help anybody who has any questions. She's very well connected, so MBPA is a great source for you guys to call on for this. As is the Kaiser family. I have two PowerPoint slides here I want to show you. This first one being the handout you just received. This gives us a little bit of a snapshot of what's going on come January 1st, 2014. When you look 3 columns down at the employer requirements, it makes it pretty clear that if you're an employer of any size, any decent size, you're looking at a very high likelihood of paying some kind of penalty. How these penalties are being developed are changing all the time, so it's still very fuzzy to me. I don't know if there's anybody who can say, I know how this is going to work. I do know with groups under 25, the likelihood of any penalty for participating or not participating with the exchanges will not result in a penalty. So this has been a great resource for me. You can see at the bottom, this is an April 15th, 2011 release. These main portions right here that we've got on the sheet have not changed. It's just the little details on the inside. I just got an update, a credible update. The ACA has triggered a new requirement that started this week that changes the donor status. If you're on the list, you're waiting for a heart, kidney, liver transplant, it's not necessarily first come, first served anymore. It's based on a British model that basically says, well, with all of these inputs, what do you have to give to society? So maybe if you're a 90-year-old, what do you have to give to society versus a 35-year-old? That's going to play into that model. That part of ACA really didn't come under ACA, it came under the first stimulus plan. So there's many of these little moving parts that's going on. Another one that...
Mark, that was great. You made that very political neutral. Very, very nice.
There's another one I believe triggered this week, and I read a couple of good, credible sources on it. You definitely want to do your homework, but the way I understand it, if you are a Medicare recipient, if you're someone age 65 or older, you go in the hospital for longer than 24 hours, ACA says, well, you can go back in the hospital, but the hospital is going to be penalized if you go back in within 30 days. So if you as a hospital take Mrs. Jones in for a service overnight, you cannot let her back in even if she has some other problem or an extenuation of the problem she first came in with within the first 30 days of her discharge. If you do, it's a $125,000 penalty slapped against the hospital. So it's moving all the time, and fortunately the Kaiser family, they've been really good about staying very neutral on this. And with all these slides, if anybody wants these sent to them later on, just let GRA know, and we can pass them on. Here's the latest one that was just sent to me from Bonnie at MBPA. Here's penalties for employers not offering affordable coverage under ACA. Start here. Does the employer have at least 50 or more full-time employees? And you can go through this maze and figure out where your clients land. That's the first part we have to deal with. Employers are saying, I'm looking at penalties. If I send everybody to the exchange, I'm probably going to end up having to pay, if I'm a group of 50 or more people, $2,000 per employee per year, which actually gets ratcheted up every year with trend. And so they're saying, I don't know. I think I'm just going to send them anyways and bite the bullet. I just talked to a 95-person trucking company. They said, well, what's my penalty going to be if I just send everybody to the exchange? I said, well, the way I read the law, $180,000 a year. He said, no problem. I'm paying $325,000 now. I'll just eat the penalty. Well, that's not doing his business any good, because he's just now incurring a $180,000 a year penalty that was never there before, which doesn't really do the economy all good. But most of all, as far as we're concerned, we've got a serious threat facing us with groups diminishing and breaking up and going to the exchanges. The exchange in Michigan not being set up, and with the federal government pulling together with them because the state did not take monies initially, it's unclear whether commissions will be paid to agents on that exchange. We just don't know. So the one thing we do know is uncertainty. We don't know where our paychecks necessarily are going to come from as a result of ACA. But if we choose to continue to be in the group business, we're going to have to model a business plan that says, you know what, I'm going to weather this storm, I'm going to work with this the best I can, I'm not sure where my commissions may or may not come from, but one thing's for certain, I have to build a model that says, I'm going to make sure I get paid. So here's a few answers we're looking at, we're going to address in just a moment. First, we're going to have to deal with the fact that commissions are being reduced. Medical loss ratio, MLR, you guys familiar with that? Where ACA says of all premium that's collected, 80% must be paid on claims. The other 20% goes towards administrative costs, such as fixed costs, agent pay, Tiger Stadium seats, stuff like that. My discussion with some of the larger carriers in the state of Michigan said, don't think that for a minute that 80-20 rule, the MLR of 20% is going to continue on. There's a very high likelihood that 20% is going to continue to shrink. When that shrinks, you know what's going to happen as a result of that. Your commissions are going to go down as well. And as we know, employers are dropping coverage. And then we have the other problem where employers are saying, man, these, agents, you're running out of bullets. You're really running out of bullets. It used to be back in the day, an agent would just say, you know what, you want to offset your 20% rate increase, we can cut it down to 3 or 4 percentage points, just going to a higher deductible or co-insurance. Or plan B is go on to an HRA. Well, I want to take you back to that 95-person group I talked about just a moment ago. They have traditionally been on an HRA, and their increases have been so steadily going up that right now they're saying, I need a different solution, because where I used to have a 95 covered employees, I used to have $100,000 or $150,000 total exposure in my HRA. Now I'm facing $800,000 or $900,000. I can't have that uncertainty. I cannot have a bad year where I have 45% utilization on the $900,000 exposure. I can't do that anymore. Plus I'm getting whacked with HRA premiums, which are higher than standard. What other solutions can we have? So what I want to talk about is how we can actually use supplemental benefits to cover the deductible and co-insurances. So I want to take you back to that model again. We had a 95-person trucking company that says, who's Washington National? Well, we offer supplemental benefits. That's just who we are, or voluntary, some people call it. Well, why don't I hear about you? Well, we're just a lean and mean company that's been in the benefits world for multiple decades. Very sound business. But the only one of the main differences between us and that competitor on TV, is you're paying for that duck, and you're not paying for airtime here. You're paying for real products, very well priced, and very well fit for high deductible plans. So we took that 95-person group and we said, okay, we're used to paying. Of course, I'm not telling you who that group is, so I'm pretty comfortable saying this. They're saying, I'm used to paying $40,000 in utilization on top of my premiums. And then, of course, your TPA fees and so forth. How is it that you guys, with your supplemental plans, can possibly come in and protect me kind of like the HRA? That's really not a problem. HRAs are not an end-all. They're only as good as what you make them out to be. You cannot cover every contingency every time. Let's take a two-pronged attack on this, and let's talk about what this looks like. You've got an HRA exposure of about $500,000 if nothing changes. You're used to paying $40,000 in utilization. What if, Mr. Employers, what if we took that $40,000 that you're used to paying anyways, is kind of budget now, right? Yeah, we're budgeting that. Okay. Why don't we take that $40,000 and you buy a base accident plan, a base hospital plan, and a base critical solutions plan that covers heart attack, stroke, and cancer. And what we're going to do, now that you've got that base plan there, each employee at open enrollment can sit down and look at it, each situation on their own, and say, okay, I'm going to buy up for whatever my comfort level is. I may be a 23-year-old truck driver that has a family of 6. I'm probably going to want that hospital and accident plan. Definitely, I want to build that thing up. I want to protect my exposure to these deductibles and co-insurances with those plans. One of the guys back at the office that's coordinating behind the scenes, he's 55 years old, and he's saying, you know what? My family's got a high incidence of cancer in many different ways, and I want this critical illness that will actually pay up to $70,000 in a lump sum within 72 hours if I'm diagnosed with a heart attack, stroke, or cancer. So now all of a sudden, this is getting to look inviting. You got a very high deductible, high co-insurance plan. You go in the hospital, you're hospitalized for 24 hours or longer, you got $2,500 to protect you there. If you're diagnosed with heart attack, stroke, or cancer, and end-stage renal disease, you can have up to $70,000 within 72 hours paid directly to you. Do you think that can help cover deductibles and co-insurance? Well, you better betcha. That will really not only cover today's deductibles and co-insurances, but now we just took that dilemma off the desk of that employer who every year you're calling up, hey, got your rates? I was hoping for 10% trend, we're another 22% this year, and all of a sudden, you're in reaction mode. This is really very proactive mode. We've taken that and other groups and said, look, we're protecting you against ever-increasing deductibles and co-insurances multiple years down the road. So by instilling these plans as your base, putting the high deductible chassis on top of it and letting the employees buy out, you can go on to your next renewals and not be really that concerned if you have to bump up the deductible or co-insurance some. What's another good reason for using supplemental? Well, Washington National has had historically static rates. I think with these plans right here, David, have they ever taken a rate increase?
Absolutely not.
No rate increase since, 79-ish? Since 1979, this family of products has never taken an increase. Well, so when I sat down with that 95-person trucking company, I said, see that? And I said, that's no guarantee. Each insurance company reserves the rights to raise rates every year. But what we basically did is we took a healthcare bill like this, annual bill for that trucking company, and by moving these base plans in using the utilization that they historically have used, we've just taken a percentage of their total healthcare bill and we just froze it. I think most employers would say, you know what, if you can freeze historically 20% of my healthcare bill so I'm only getting trend on 80% of my healthcare bill rather than 100%. Do you think you're going to have that employer nodding their head? I had this trucking company, he's nodding his head so much, he's almost banging on the wall behind him. It was just like, why doesn't my agent show me this? Why haven't I heard about this? This is a perfect fit. With Washington National, you don't have to worry about adjudicating a claim. You don't have to worry about people bringing their EOBs. Once a claim is submitted in, Washington National guarantees that that claim is going to be in the hands of that subscriber within 72 hours. Commissions, not bad. Most people can get a 45 to 50% commission on these Washington National supplemental plans. Not bad at all. Especially with the fact that our carriers are continuing to lower our commissions. And the most beautiful part of it, they're not going on the exchange. Technically, it's insurance, but it's really not insurance. This Washington National doesn't have to work off of that 80-20 rule. For me as an agent, or you as an agent, that's a pretty darn big plus, because if I've got that 95-person trucking company moving to the exchange and they're disbanding, and all their employees are left holding out the Washington National products, I'm still getting paid either way. No worries with that segment of that group health coverage, because it is free from going on the exchange. No MLR issues. Long-term customer retention, what's the average length of retention per policy?
7 years.
7 years?
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Not bad.
On a payroll basis, individual, you're going into the portability of it, so
Yep.
that's perfect.
Yep. Yep. The other nice point about the Washington National family of products, it's portable. So they can take it with them, whether they leave the job, whether they retire, whatever it may be, these plans are totally portable. So when you look at the big picture here with Supplemental, it's not an end-all, and we're not saying it is. Every plan is, it's going to have its holes in it, no different than an HRA does, no different than an HSA does. When you look at the big picture with ACA, with MLR, with trend, and what's going on with the state exchanges, using this philosophy is going to create an income stream that's much more predictable for the agent community that's continuing to hang on during these changing times with ACA. We've got a handout. Kate's about to hand out some illustrations. We want to take another account, and we want to show you exactly how this particular agency applied this philosophy. So I'll wait a moment while she's handing those out.
Mark, I just have one question. If I have people that go onto the exchange, I could use this product to offset any deductibles that would be in the metal, the gold, silver, platinum.
You can. This is a work site and an individual product. So yes, this can be worked on the exchange. So if an individual buys insurance on the exchange, they can use this as well. And we do have agents and agencies that are looking at that philosophy saying, you know what? Our groups are dissolving. I'm following these employees to the exchange as individuals. Because what are they going to do when they get to the exchange? I'm hearing that insurance premiums are going to go up once they hit the exchange on the individual side, anywhere from 200 to 700%. They're going to need that Washington National product much more than what they do now. Did everyone get 2 pages? The first page should show option 1, page 2 should show option, I think, 2 and 3 or 2, 3, and 4. Does everyone have that? Yes. Thank you. So, here's a real case right here. This particular company renews November 1st of this year. Here's an outline of their plan. They've got a Simply Blue 1,000 80-20 plan, 1,000, 2,000 deductible, 14 singles, 10 two-persons, 18 families. You see their rates, you look down, they had paid during the calendar year, or the plan year, 2011, $373,000. 2012 renewal, Their rates went up. They're $430,000 for an increase of 57 to 51. Option 1, we're showing tweaking the plan a little bit, and this is what most agents run into. You're dropping from a $57,000 increase to a $45,000 increase. Now we're transitioning over to options 2 and 3. We're bringing forward the 2011 rates because that's what the employers are used to budgeting. 373, 743. Look down at the bottom. You see where it shows total annual cost, 373, total savings or cost, and then total annual savings cost from 2011 with the Washington National plans, putting in those base plans. Option 2, Simply Blue 2,500. They've saved $32,000 from their 2011 plan year. Now they're a hero. The only problem is their out-of-pocket went from $3,500, $7,000 to $5,000, $10,000. With adding in those platform of Washington National plans, it says at the bottom, accident policy, critical illness policy, and hospital indemnity plan, they went to a $9,300 increase versus the $57,000 that they saw at renewal. Option 3, an SB 4,000. Now their exposure went up to $6,500 for an individual, $13,000 for a 2-person or family. That's the plan this group is electing. They're saying that's what we're doing. $85,000 savings. We put the base plans on. They're still sticking $44,000 in their pocket. They're going back to their employees and they're saying, "All right, guys, sorry, the trend is killing us. We're moving to this high deductible plan because if it's not this year, it's next year. So let's just do this. Kind of like a Band-Aid, you just rip it right off. Let's just do it. And put some money in our pocket, and we're going to give everybody a base hospital, critical illness, and accident plan." Now, if you want to cover more exposure than what those plans are giving you, because the critical illness plan, they went with a minimum base plan, $10,000 lump sum. You have a heart attack, stroke, cancer, you're going to get a $10,000 check. I think that will help cover that $6,500 exposure quite easily. Hospital plan, $1,500. You go in the hospital, 24 hours or longer, $1,500. Accident plan, anything happens as a result of an accident, you're getting additional monies on top of that. Now you as the employee, you want to protect yourself against any of that additional exposure, your agent will be meeting with you, and what you can do is look at your own particular needs and you can buy up. Any questions on that? Does that philosophy, does that sound good, bad? Yes, sir.
In that case, did the employer make any changes to the disability income coverage?
No. No, they did not. On the group disability, short and long term, no.
So the employee can do a projection. If I'm out of work because of this cancer for 6 months, I had probably a 40% pay cut.
Yeah.
I need this much more coverage from the Washington National.
That's a good point. Your short-term and long-term disability, you definitely want to play into that. This is a medical facility in central Michigan, and they already have a very hefty short-term and long-term disability plan on their employees. But that's a great point. I mean, there's several aspects like that that is specific from group to group. Many groups don't even have short-term or long-term. But absolutely, if you're out of work, these plans will help cover the medical, but you still have that looming issue with, disability or loss of work, loss of income. That's a really good point. That's why you buy up. You could buy up. Any other questions for you guys?
If they have an HSA, can they buy additional coverage out of their HSA?
I don't think you can. That's a good question. I'll have Dave answer that question. I'm thinking not. I always tell the agent, be conservative on it. David, if they're taking out an HSA plan, can they use HSA monies to pay for the premium of any of these plans? I always tell agents, no, I'm not 100% certain, but it seems so borderline.
It is, I know, it came back to me. If it is specific disease policy, you can. So if it's for cancer, heart attack, or so forth. The accident one and hospital indemnity, those are a little bit iffy. That's a little bit of a gray area. I think they say no because it's insurance on top of insurance. But if it's a specific disease, I think you can. So I'm good?
Absolutely.
I got a confer, I'm good.
Okay, well, thanks, Michael. And that's another great question, because I know with Blue Cross, you put these plans on an HSA, they don't have a problem. We have Priority Health Management that's saying, we don't want to hear if you guys put in supplemental on these group HSAs. We hear it, there's going to be an issue. So we're hearing, Blue Cross saying one thing, Priority Health saying the other, and some of these are just really kind of gray areas, except for the specified disease. So how do you do this? Well, you take your normal presentation, run your options, and for this particular group, we just took the census. We shot it over to David Steffen because he has nothing better to do while watching Notre Dame football than to load all that information in there and fire it back to you so you've got the numbers for you to plug into your presentation. So again, Washington National has been exceptionally accommodating.
Now, the only white elephant in the room on this strategy is probably labs and x-rays. I mean, usually those are subject to the deductibles, so you're probably going to have still out of pocket for employees on those. Compared to an HRA, which on deductibles, sometimes the HRA does reimburse the deductibles, so they are getting some money. So that would be the only hiccup in it?
Yeah, actually, Washington National Plans, some of them, they actually do pick up x-rays, chemotherapy, radiation, and a lot of those types of things, including some lab.
As it's related to the critical illness.
Yep. Here's plan B for this group. Because when we went in to present with the agent, we just took the illustration and said, okay, take it or leave. Does this work? Do you like this philosophy? Does it work for you? Because if it doesn't, we have one last option to help you on a group platform. And this is the GAP 360. Now I want to show you this real briefly. These look kind of confusing at first, so you might have to sit down and look at the color codes. The way this agent does this is really kind of brilliant. Red is employee responsibility, insurance coverage, and then GAP 360 coverage. And here's that SB 4,000, 8,000 that this group went with. In your normal scenario, the employee is responsible for the 4,000, 8,000 deductible. The insurance company takes 80% co-insurance, and you take 20% up to the 2,500 or 5,000. This plan shows a 5,000 inpatient, $2,500 outpatient deductible coverage, deductible / co-insurance coverage with a GAP 360. Is this still underwritten by Fidelity?
Fidelity Security Life. Yep.
Fidelity Security Life. I used to use this with groups a while back. And what's really nice with this is you can insure their deductible inpatient for everything. Anything that applies on their EOB is covered. 5,000 inpatient, 2,500 outpatient in this particular case. Here's the nice thing about this product. If it's inpatient, it's not $5,000 for the two-person or family, it's $5,000 for every individual. So if you're a family of 5 and you're in a horrific car accident or something, that's $5,000 for every member. If it's outpatient, it cuts in half. This is a great way, and it's illustrated here with all the boxes below, as to how you can put GAP coverage with Washington National as a secondary option in place to help cover those employees' exposure against the very high deductible and co-insurance. Now I want to bring your attention to the very bottom. Here's the monthly cost on this plan, $3,127, and you see what the total liability is, inpatient and outpatient. This agent put down a guaranteed utilization of 21.6%. Well, what does that mean? What this agent is saying is, for your overall exposure, $350,000, you're paying 21.6% automatic in premiums on this plan to protect against that exposure. So think of an HRA. You've got a group, you go in, you talk philosophy with HRA, what's the rule of thumb? Because the first thing the group's going to say, well, what's my projected utilization? You give them the most common piece of wisdom you'd ever give in that situation. Don't know. I don't know. You could be 35, you could be 45, 50, I don't know. But what you can expect if you're a reasonably healthy group, you're going to be somewhere between 35 and 50%. Some groups are actually below 35%. What a great way of using GAP coverage in lieu of an HRA, and you know that your premium you paid towards that plan is only 21%. So You don't have to worry about, well, if you did an HRA, is it going to be 35% of my exposure I'll have to pay? Is it 45? Is it 50%? I know I'm paying 21% and that's it. I'm set. I'm good to go. Where back in late 90s, early 2000s, this GAP plan took hold for a while and it kind of fizzled out with the advent of some of the more creative HRAs and HSAs. This is coming back as a good alternative to that first option I just showed you, because if you've got especially a sick group, play your ears, Dave. You got an especially sick group and you know they would not perform well on an HRA, and they may not necessarily, all of them, pass those health questions on the underwriting for the group, which actually on the group platform, it is guaranteed issue up to a point. This is a great alternative. Now we can cover those extras you talked about. We can talk about that unexpected appendectomy that that a hospital plan with Washington National may not cover unless you're hospitalized for 24 hours or longer. Or almost at the point where open heart surgery is almost outpatient. It's just gotten that ridiculous. Does that make sense? When you take those two options and you lay them side by side, street commission on this, outside of ACA, no MR, 7%. If you're not a preferred Blue Cross agent, you're definitely feeling the pain when you think about, 7% commission, not bad. Any questions on that? Does that make sense? Yes, sir.
You mentioned guaranteed issue. What level for a group like this? You gotta have 10, 5? 5.
Down to 5.
5 employees?
5 covered on your health. Now, for those group agents that are looking at the advent of the exchange and what's going to happen come January 1st, some groups are going to be busted up and they're going to send those individuals to the exchange. There's not a better time than from now until December of next year to be talking to those groups. Let's, kind of keep your ear to the ground. If you're going to break them up, obviously the GAP 360 is not going to be any help, but man, that platform of Washington National products, in addition to a high deductible plan, that client's not going to leave you. In the individual market, when I'm out there and I'm talking to agents that sell individual Blue Cross, individual Priority Health, GRA, you're a managing agent for Priority Health individual. Those people going to the exchange, all you have to do is put them on the very highest deductible and co-insurance and put that platform of individual Washington National products in place. Not bad. I had one group agent that kind of jokingly, said, when individuals call in, they come in, sign up on Blue Cross Priority Health, they move on, they're like cattle, they just come and go. When you're in the group business, you're so busy with all that, you don't even think about the fact that, you're signing up all these individuals and it may stick for 3 months or it may stick for 2 years. Now all of a sudden, hey, wait a minute, these individuals, based on the fuzziness of ACA, those individuals, when you wrap these individual products, accident, hospital, cancer, around that Priority Health individual high deductible plan, now, kind of like a financial planner, you're with these people for a long time. If you stay with them, you can be with them for a long time. Mike and I went through the numbers one time recently. The amount of commission you make by wrapping an individual with these products on a high deductible, high co-insurance, individual Priority Health plan, your commission goes up 7 to 8-fold. And so what if Priority Health says, well, we're not going to pay our agents on the exchange come January 1st, 2014. So I'm making 6 times as much. I still have them as a client because my Washington National is not a part of that. Now all of a sudden it's like, wow, maybe I'm not going to get run over by this steamroller.
And then, Mark, in the trucking company example, what did the commissions change from?
With that trucking company, the commissions for that agent a little bit more than doubled. This medical facility, the commission is triple. Yep. Commissions go up very substantially when you throw this on the group side. Definitely. I don't know how much time we have left. If there's no questions, we've got David can do a 2-minute overview, or he can do a 20-minute overview. But maybe we want to take a minute, just stretch your legs, and if you want to catch a little bit more in-depth information on Washington National and how these plans work. They're truly incredible, far superior to AFAC, and he's got some great information. He can show you how you can better understand how those fit with the group plans or the individual plans. So we'll take a break for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then David will come back up and he'll speak briefly on the products.